Hey there, everyone. I'm AJ.
And I'm Carlos.
Welcome to the Roaming Minds podcast, your space for unpacking all things related to mental, cognitive, and neural health.
We're here to shift through the mass of information related to mental health and wellness. Think of us as your friendly guides, here to assist you in making actionable choices in your mental wellness journey.
Now, please understand, we are not doctors, psychologists, or therapists. We are just humans who are curious and have a passion for all things related to mental health, sharing what we've learned for informative purposes only.
Exactly. This isn't medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you're dealing with something serious, please hit up your doctor or mental health professional. Don't take our word for it.
Never skip out on expert help or put it off because of something we discussed here. If you need support right now, check the links in the description.
So buckle up, friends. Let's dive into today's convo and explore what's on our mind.
I debated with this idea and went back and forth with it a lot because we've talked about this a lot, and I never felt I don't know about felt. That's maybe the wrong term. I never thought that we did it justice. And I forget, I was watching something and it popped up. It was probably something on fucking Instagram that I shouldn't have been watching in the first place, and whatever else, whatever, who cares? But it made me think about like really how important this idea of personalization is. Mental health, mental wellness, all of these things are not going to be the same for everybody. Mental health is going to be different for different people because we're all at different points in our health. I mean, for lack of a better, not to sound redundant and stupid, but I'm at a different point in my physical well-being and the way my body is operating than you are, just like anybody else is. And what I need in order to be healthy is shifting on a day-to-day basis. I'll give you a real extreme example. I played basketball this week with a bunch of 17-year-olds that were like 6 feet tall, and I'm gonna tell you what they need and what I need are two totally different. They need to learn how to play the game of basketball. I need to learn how to breathe. You know what I mean? Yeah, dude, they're 17. They think they can just sit outside and take threes and miss every single one and hit 3 out of 40 and win the game. And it's not going to work, you know? I think I can just hit threes and stay at one side of the court and be fine. And it just doesn't work that way.
Bite the ambulance at the end.
Oh my God, dude. I played most of the second quarter, and we did 6-minute quarters. They were pretty quick. I was like, I went back in after 3 minutes. I played the second half of the third. But again, what they need and what I need are two totally different things. And that stretches to health, mental wellness as well. It is not enough for me to walk into that's not what I'm thinking of. Why can't I think of this is going to bother me tremendously. Not the therapist, but this is going to drive me nuts. It's the lady that prescribes meds, or not lady, man.
Pharmacist?
No, prescription. Like the brain doctor. There we go. That's what I was thinking of. I couldn't think of that word to save my life. I've seen enough of them in my lifetime. I should be able to just rattle this shit off like you wouldn't believe, but apparently I can't. Whatever. If I walk into the psychiatrist, right, and say, hey, I'm feeling depressed, if they don't ask me any more questions and just hand me a generalized pill, this is how it went in the late 90s, early 2000s. They would ask you some more questions, but they knew what the treatment was going to be because there was only so many of them at the time. We didn't have 8 million different drugs in different ways. That was the beginnings of the medication era. I shouldn't say medication era, but publicly available medication, because we had medication for the them psychiatry patients. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Yeah.
Like,
Them.
you all know what we mean by when we go, the
Yeah,
ones that
yeah,
have
yeah.
truly,
hmm
truly, not that the
The
lesser
ones that
people
are
don't need it.
hospitalized.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Not that if you have a lesser, quote unquote, mental health psychiatrical disorder, you don't need meds, but then people agree.
Right. We just tended to reserve them for the ones that were a little. The ones that we had would tranquilize you. I mean, there was more for to subdue people rather than to treat what was actually going on. I mean, again, we saw the rise of those in what, the 50s and 60s, the introductions of these drugs that were there to work on the prescribed illness rather than just this motherfucker's crazy. We need to
Like,
tranquilize this man.
just like,
Yeah.
sedate them and make sure that they're breathing and like can walk. Part of that from nothing much is pretty going on upstairs.
Mm-hmm. I forget where I was going with that tangent, but hey, whatever. Why I got it. So again, if I walk into that psychiatrist's office, they better have some questions prepared and try to figure out, okay, well, this is what's going on. You know, this might help, but it may not be the best route. This option over here might be a little bit easier. So you're going to get this. This guy over here is going to get one over here because he's got a different profile happening. Whatever, that personalization is very, very important. Now, that's just in terms of health. But the same goes for wellness as well. That, you know, what makes me happy and brings, I don't like, no, I lied. Nope. No. Again, you know, this is just going to be a theme. I'm just going to use the wrong words regularly. Not happiness. I don't think it's, I really don't. I don't subscribe to happiness as a long-term feeling. To me, happy is that, well, are you happy right now? Well, why the fuck would I be? No, just, but it really more of what brings you peace of mind. What allows you to be able to find your joy. I like joy because joy implies a sense of freedom. I get happy when somebody gives me a new toy. And no, not an action figure or the physical toy, but when I get a new Raspberry Pi that I get to play with and go figure it out, I'm genuinely happy. But it only lasts for 30 or 40 minutes while I'm working with the dang thing, and then I leave and it's all over. So that's not what I mean by that. I mean joy, that freedom, that I'm okay with me and where my life is going. Then what does that look like for people? And how do you go about building these things? How do you go about finding these things? Because it's not like I was born and when I became aware of myself as a human being, which is what, 2 or 3, somewhere around there?
Typically around some people around 18 months, but typically between ages of like 2 to 3 is when people start like forming memories and knowing that they're a person.
Right. I can guarantee you at 2 and 3, I know exactly what is going to bring me lasting peace in life. I'm going to go be a medical doctor and it's going to be wonderful. I've never met a 3-year-old that can do that. I met a 3-year-old that was like, I'm going to go be Superman. You go be Superman, bro. Enjoy that. And maybe there's something to it. I don't know. That's outside the scope of what we're going on about today. We could unpack that and do a whole entire conversation on just that, but we don't need to. We're okay for today. We'll stick to the task at hand, at least a little. And so really the first task of ours is to go and find what it is that brings us joy and fulfillment in the first place. Yeah. This requires some sort of reflective practice. Daily's great. If you can't do daily, weekly's okay too. Monthly. I mean, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Any sort of reflective practice is going to help. It's a difficult thing to pitch, I think, especially in America, because we are so ingrained to, well, it's not my problem. It's theirs. It's your problem. You did it. No, I didn't do it. I mean, I could see it with the whole thing with Teslas in the DC area. Have you heard about all that?
No, what's going on?
Oh, it's crazy, dude. Like Teslas are getting vandalized, which that's crazy in and of itself. They literally have cameras all around them. You got to be pretty stupid to go and do that. They take
Nice one.
pictures regularly, huh?
I was just saying, yeah, you must be an idiot to just go, hey, vandalize somebody's car, sure, whatever, and then go for a Tesla that it has like 360 like cameras recording and
Mm-hmm.
like and motion sensors and everything. Like even if you destroy the car, the footage is still saved. So like,
Mm-hmm.
there's no point.
Right. I mean, yes and no. It's outside the scope again, but it's crazy. I mean, I know I was coming home from the grocery store 2 weeks ago, something like that. Somebody had a sign out their window that said, Tesla hates democracy. And I was just like, no, not hates, is destroying democracy. And I was like, Well, my first thought is, how exactly is a car destroying democracy? Especially one that is built in this country. I don't know. Maybe that's a bit of a vague term. But second of all, like, how do you have so much fucking time? Do you really have enough time? If you have enough time to make a sign and drive around and point it at people who are driving Teslas, you need to go get a job, go volunteer, go do something with your life, because this is not a productive use of it. Or my other favorite, on that same drive, I was down the street from my house and I'm coming down and this dude's just flicking me off out his window. And I'm like, dude, if you are triggered by my car that roughly, you should probably go talk to somebody. I'm going to be honest, Carlos, what you drive is never in a million years going to offend me.
It's vice versa. Like I'm just personally, I'm just trying to get from place A to place B without an accident. That's what I'm focused on.
That's literally what a car does. If it gets you there in a little bit of comfort and a little bit of however it is that you like to drive, a little bit quicker, I don't know, who knows. If it's a reflection upon you and that brings you some sort of peace, personalization, right? In action, go for it, right? But really what we're talking about is routines. Why did I go down that? I know, dude, this is bad, man. I really haven't slept much this past week or two, so my memory is just atrocious right now.
We were talking about like knowing yourself and things like that, and then you wanted to give the example of what's going on in DC, and then that's how we got it into this thing with the Teslas.
I know, but I had a point, and I think it was really just like, I don't know. I have no idea. And so really what we're talking about is like building those reflection. That's why, because we were at reflection. Reflect
Yes.
on your motherfucking lives. Do you know what I mean? So that you don't end up doing stupid shit like that is effectively what it is. And I'm not hating on, if you are, it is what it is. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna, I can't do anything to stop you. But
you are allowed to hate anything you want. That's
right.
Like, that's prerogative. Have fun at it, kids.
But do some searching. Reflect on yourself and really like think about like, is it really that person that's just driving home from the grocery store's problem? Probably not.
No.
But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it does go deeper. I don't know. Who knows? But without that reflection, we can't even begin to build those wellness routines into our sense of being. Because if I don't know what makes me happy, or again, here I go with those words, if I don't know what I enjoy and what brings me to a semblance of peace, I can't even begin to start taking steps towards those things. Personally, I love creating environments. This has been an ongoing thing for the past 10 years. I was working in the school system, man, and I could just see how augmented reality could be used in classrooms to be able to help kids with severe disorders to feel a little bit more comfortable in there. I still haven't built that one yet, but that's okay. Not the end of the world. But I have taken steps to kind of do things like that. I have a greenhouse in the back where I literally build out the environment for the plants. I have to pay attention to what goes on. I've got to go ahead and make sure that the window's open and closed at the right time, how they're watered. Their environment becomes really, really important. Okay? Now, why does that matter? Because that's one of the things that I enjoy doing. I enjoy doing that so much that I have 2 of them, not just one. I love crafting spaces. So that's going to be a part of my routine as soon as I start planning things. I haven't gotten there yet. I've been slacking trying to deal with work, but next week, that's one of my goals is to finish the greenhouse that we built in October, because it's just little stuff, sealing everything and putting in some shelves. Nothing crazy. The structure's been up since October, and that's totally fine. Those are one of those things that I'm going to build into my routine that is going to make me a little bit more at peace. It's going to help alleviate those stress levels. My mental wellness is going to skyrocket just because I get to do something that's a little bit more exciting and fun for me. But again, if I don't know that I like doing that, how am I going to get there?
Trial and error.
And so that reflection is super duper important. I really like this idea of using anchors. We all have routines. We all have habits, whether we're consciously aware of them or not. I would venture out to say that your morning routine, and there's been so much talk about morning routine. I'm not talking about optimizing. I'm not talking about any of that right now. But your morning routine is to an extent habitual. Even if it's, I got out of bed, I took a 2-minute shower, I got dressed, and I ran out the front door, chances are I would venture out to say that you do that fairly regularly. I wake up, I do the same thing every morning. I'm not saying it's right, wrong. I get up, I stretch, I take a shower, I get ready, I make sure that I'm looking fantastic. And then and then I go, I make coffee, make lunch, and get ready, just start getting ready for the day. Every single day, I do the same thing. And so, especially once the greenhouse, my greenhouse gets more set up and not filled with firewood and every other thing, and there's actually plants in there, I will definitely begin drinking coffee inside of the greenhouse and figuring out. One of the things that I love doing is just sitting in there and what would make this environment better? It's funny, I haven't even sealed the greenhouse, but we have solar powered lights in there already. Motion sensor. Dude, right. It's cool. I mean, I'm not gonna but again, using that habit that's already there of drinking coffee to help me to craft something new. Because it's not always great if I drink coffee and then go sit in the chair and play some stupid mobile game for 10 minutes while I drink my coffee and then roll. Not what I do every morning, but sure, weekends. I don't feel like moving. Give it to me. One way to get out of that is then to go tie it to that anchor, go outside and go do something that I genuinely enjoy doing rather than something that I'm just like, I just don't want to move right now.
Yeah.
And so that's one of those, those are 2 steps to kind of building out those personalized mental wellness routines. The first being reflection and knowing what it is that I need in order to improve, and then beginning to create those new habits. Tying it, the beginnings is just tie it to something that you already do, because after you do it for 90 days straight, it's going to be built into your routine. And this kind of ties in with that next little bit of micro practices. It doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Yeah.
It can just be one. If I want to, I don't know, if I'm like, my chest is incredibly weak, I want to improve it, I'm going to start doing push-ups. Well, I don't need to do 100 push-ups today. I just need to do one. And then if I want to make that a habit, I can tie it to something that is already in place. So if I am, I'll use the coffee example again. In the morning, I go down, I make my coffee. Before I take the first sip of coffee, I'm just going to do one push-up. It might be the hardest push-up that I've ever done. I don't want to do it, whatever. But as long as I do that one and I do it every day consistently, it's going to build that habit and keep going further and further and further and further. Because eventually one's not going to be enough.
Yeah.
I can
That's
do
what I was
one
gonna say.
easily, so why don't I do two? I know, it's so incredible. This is how we build those things, and once we do them consistently over time, it's a big deal, right? This is why, we had that conversation a long time ago about whatever you're working on this week, 30 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever, 5 minutes daily, 10 minutes daily, a minute daily is going to be better than if I sit down at a computer once a week and I do work for 15.
Yeah.
Because what happens for me is I end up sitting there for 3-4 hours instead of 5 minutes, and I get a shiza ton of work done. We just hammer it out, dude. And you're like, ooh. And not because I'm forcing myself to work, but because I'm making progress, and I want to keep making progress. I'm trying to find the good stopping point, and I can't stop coding in the middle of a bug. I have a problem doing that. So typically I won't do it. But that's okay. And then I keep doing that every single day. And by the end of the week, I got a whole bunch of things to present when I meet with everybody. So those little habits, if I know what it is I need to do, because I've done my reflections, I know that I'm going to start tackling eating right and exercising, and I tie them to something that I'm already doing. I know we talked about the morning, but it doesn't have to be in the morning.
Yeah.
It can be at night. Personally, right now, I'm doing better at night than I am in the morning. When I get out of bed, I have to stretch. It's just like a little, it is what it is. That's been something I've been doing for the past probably 5-6 years. But at nighttime, I'm working out a little bit harder. I'm running. I am doing a lot of things related to recovery. There's more in-depth workouts. And what I did recently, so here we go. We can't make it through an episode without a One Piece reference. Odin and I were watching One Piece for the past almost year. We would just watch a couple episodes every night. And so we got to the end. Not the end, whatever, the end. We're all caught up.
Kind of get to this, yeah.
And so we don't have One Piece to watch at night anymore. And that's okay. Rather than going and finding a new TV show, I've replaced that time with exercise. I didn't have to build a whole new routine in place because I already had it. We had about an hour where we would sit down and we would watch, which is a solid workout. If I can't handle recovery in an hour, I'm probably doing something wrong. Dude, the foam roller is my best friend. I've got the cups. I got all that good stuff, right? And it does take a good bit of time, right? But I don't need more than an hour a day.
No, you definitely don't need more than an hour in a day.
No, that's what I'm saying. If I can't fit it in at that point, it's not gonna work. I think of it like a drum. I'm a big fan of beats. I don't care what they are. I don't care if you're playing them on a drum. I don't care if you're playing on a drum machine, anything. People will be like, "How in the world do you listen to this music?" And I'm like, "Do you hear the beat? 'Cause it is absolutely incredible and it mixes with the song perfectly." And they're like, "Oh, okay, but there's no words." I I, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why does that matter? This is just another example of personalization. This is how I kind of or how I'm going to use the analogy to understand this better. I have a rhythm to my life. It's regular. I mean, especially as I've gotten older, it gets even more ingrained. I go about, I do, I come, I do what I got to do. I go to the next thing, and whatever. If my wellness routines are not tailored to fit that rhythm, it's not going to be good. It's just going to stress me out, and I'm going to have a heart attack. And I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. And that's not doing me any good. That's not helping me out with mental wellness. It might be making me healthier. If I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to exercise and I go and I exercise for an hour and a half or 2 hours, like I was doing at one point in time, I'm telling you I can do it, but I'm going to be very, very angry and very, very salty, and it's going to be harder for me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
However, nighttime right now fits that rhythm. So rather than trying to force myself into this, I have to do it now in the morning, I'm just going to go ahead and shift it to the evening because I'm still getting the health benefits. I'm still following those routines. It's just working out better for me because it's more tailored to what I actually need.
Yes.
Carlos is like, totally. That's crazy.
It's
You sound like a machine. No,
it's true. I mean, you're hitting all the things that needs to be said. I don't feel like
yeah.
if you already said it and I say it again, we're just beating a dead horse.
No. I totally understand. I mean, there's only so many different ways to say things. So I get that.
You're just saying the same thing with other words.
Right. Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, I think back to, I guess we got to talk about that, the people's viral morning workouts, because that's on everybody's minds. And while that's absolutely wonderful for other people, I can guarantee you it's not, at this moment in my life, doing anything like that in the morning is not going to work out for me. That doesn't mean that it won't change, but at the moment, it's just not gonna be effective. In order for it to be effective, it has to match the rhythm of my life.
I think you are getting to a great point that a lot of people, when they're trying to incorporate mental wellness routines and different things into their life, they do things that don't match where they are in life right now or where their life beat is at. Waking up at 3 a.m., going for a run, taking a nice bath, doing all these things that we've seen in those routines. Personally, for me, it wouldn't work for me. It will cause more damage to my life where I'm at right now than actually helping.
Mm-hmm.
I have an 8 to 12 hour shift to do later in the day. If I wake up at 3 a.m. to do all of that, by 1 o'clock, I'm tired. I can't get through the rest of my day.
Yep.
I will absolutely crash out and it'll just be bad news all around. But if I was an influencer and I have 4 or 5 hours in my day where I can possibly nap, doing that makes sense for my lifestyle and where I'm at versus what I do and what you do. Doing those things would just not help any of us. I don't know if I'm getting if you're understanding what I'm saying.
Yeah, no. I do. And I would be careful just to preface it with, at this point in time, not even preface it. I mean, you definitely hit on it. Just because it doesn't work right now doesn't mean it won't work
Yeah.
at some point in time.
Point.
Again, I used to tell people this a long time ago, because I've worked a lot with kids with ASD in my lifetime, and so one of the big things that a lot of them have struggled with is change. And so one of the things that we always talked about is, rather than, you got to kind of keep consistent habits in place. And these kids, yes, they had ASD, but we're not talking about really far down the spectrum. They can still kind of function without assistance. They may need some help along the way, but it's not what we always used to talk about was, no matter what, change is inevitable. It's the only constant, one of the only constants in this lifetime, is that things are guaranteed to change. Even if all I do is sit on a bed for the next 30 years, the same bed over that 30 years, and don't do anything, everything around me is going to change. The paint is going to deteriorate. Entropy will occur across everything.
You
So,
yourself changes. You're just sitting right there.
right.
You yourself change.
Understanding that life is going to change. It is going to shift. What works today may not work tomorrow. I like working in the greenhouse today. I might have some sort of, I don't know, something happen. Who knows? I'm revolted by plants, and I just want to stay away from them at all points in time. I don't know. But again, having that reflective praxis will allow me to be prepared for those life changes. What I do in the winter is a whole lot different than in the summer. In the summertime, I'm like at the beach kind of regularly, training on the beach, surfing, enjoying things a little bit more. In the wintertime, I'm just like, let's just get to the summer. Not entirely, but they require two different versions of me, and they require different habits in order to be able to get through them. I can get away with waking up in the morning at the beach and going right out onto the beach and start training. I'm not telling you I can't do that in the wintertime, but I'm telling you that this winter, that didn't make sense. So that's not what I did. I moved my time to the evening, and that's okay too. I mean, for the longest time, when we have a house that we go to up in Rehoboth, and all the family kind of gathers there and whatever, and they are very much ingrained in their, we need to be on the beach by 10 o'clock. That doesn't necessarily make sense for me anymore, because I'm going to go at like 7 and like enjoy the early morning, nobody's out there. And then I'm going to go again at like 5 when the lifeguards leave, so I can go get some surf time in, because you can't surf but for like one place out in Rehoboth, and you got to pay to park. So, and when it's just, it might be better surfing, but I'm not good enough for it to matter. So whatever. I mean, just the point of that is like, those routines are going to change based off of, I mean, you're talking 3 months, they can change. So having that, like, again, at minimum monthly practice, to be able to pay attention and to be able to be like, oh, I've got to do these things. That's a big deal. Being a parent, after the summertime, my kid goes back to school, habits have to change, because I have to tailor what I need to do around what he needs to do, because he can't take care of himself. I have to do. He's getting more and more independent, which is super cool, but I still have to tailor those routines and habits around his schedule. If he needs to be picked up from school at 4:30, I'm not going to schedule my gym time for 4 o'clock. That doesn't make any sense. That's absolutely crazy. Oh, my bad. I couldn't get here on time. What? having that reflective practice that was going to be able to make sure that we can know ourselves well enough to know when it's time to change those routines. The other thing that I think we need to hit on, because I think is really important, is this idea of spending a lot of money to find mental wellness.
Yeah.
I disagree.
You do not need to spend a lot of money to find that.
I mean, there are going to be things that you're going to do. I'm not telling you that greenhouses are cheap. I'm going to tell you, I found some of the most inexpensive ones I could find in order to get started. I found one for a few $100 that's literally just aluminum poles that weigh absolutely nothing, and the sheets. Now, it was a whole lot more difficult to regulate the temperature inside of there, because being that it was entirely, I can't even think of what the corrugated plastic that just absorbs light. It got hot. It could be 70 degrees outside, and in the greenhouse it's going to be 105. It absorbs light like you wouldn't believe. But there were still ways for me to go about doing those things without spending a small fortune. Rather than going out and getting clones of plants or ones that have already sprouted, I'm just going to go get seeds, and I'm going to start them from seeds, because I can get a 30 pack of seeds for $5, whereas a plant that's already sprouted is $8, $9, $10 a piece. So you're talking $5 for multiple plants, or 30, 40, 50 for 5 plants.
But again, what you could do is find rich friends and start from there.
Hey, no, I'm just something everybody should be doing anyway. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Yes. I can see the flurry of crazy, just how horrible are you two? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, pretty fucking terrible. Okay.
Never told anybody that I'm a great person. So if you assume that, that's on you.
I'm far from a bad person. See what I mean? I'm on a roll. I make the crazy people look normal.
But see, sometimes but there are also other crazy people that make me look normal. So is that a weird feedback loop? What's going on?
The way I like to put it is, I am just very unapologetically me.
As you should be.
It is what it is. Being unapologetically me, and will probably be the topic of a future. Maybe not that exact, but we'll unpack that later. But not right now.
What we're talking about.
I'm sorry, say that again.
So I said, let's get back on track to what we were talking about. Sorry.
Right. No. We're totally fine. It was actually good, because I thought of some things that I want to talk to you about later, and we'll tailor and fit. This idea of overcoming barriers to starting. I think we've already touched in places, but I think it's important to understand there's only one way to start. And that is to do. You're going to say, I've been through the list of excuses. I don't have enough time. I'm too tired. I'm too this. Chances are, if that's the case, it probably just doesn't fit with the rhythm with what you have going on. At least for me. Yes. When I say that I'm too tired to work out in the morning, it's not that I'm too tired. It just does not fit into my rhythm in the morning, because at 7 o'clock at night, I'm so energized and I'm like, yeah, let's go punch trees. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Punching brick. Why not? These are just things. Can't say I do it regularly. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't done it. No. On purpose and by accident. Ooh, all right. That was the easiest way to overcome the barriers to start is tie it to something that you're already doing. Yeah. If you can tie it to something that you're already doing, you're infinitely more likely to start and keep going. The two biggest problems are starting and not finishing.
Yes.
Not finishing is definitely hard, because you got to find some semblance of motivation long enough to sustain you through. But if you tie it to something that you're already using, there's no motivation involved. You don't need to worry about motivation because it's already attached to that practice. So you are more likely to go about doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Not starting is super simple to overcome. Just go fucking start it. Don't play this. Oh, well, I don't feel good. Yeah, sure, you probably don't. I don't always feel good. But again, I can always just do one. I'm going to tell you, I didn't feel like doing yesterday after playing basketball with the 17-year-olds. Literally, dude, first game I've played in 20 years. 20 years. I haven't played basketball, the game, in 20 years. And that was the first time back. And then I went to Kung Fu later that night. When I tell you I'm still dead and dying a little bit physically. I'm sore in places that I didn't even know existed. And that's okay, right? I still walked home last night. I went out with a coworker, or a person who I used to work with. Walked home 30, 45 minutes. Dead and dying by the time I got back, but I did it. I'm not saying you have to do 30, 45 minutes, but just keeping up with that routine. It's so ingrained with me that when I go to that specific location, or just down into more like city aspect of or downtown, whatever, I can always walk home. And so that habit just helps, and it just goes. I mean, I didn't feel like it. Believe me, I did not. It was raining.
Ooh.
It was not. There was literally, I could have made any excuse imaginable not to have done it yesterday. And guess what? I did it both times. Or I made it through multiple different excuses. That's what I was trying to say with that. And it's all just because I have to do these things in order to be okay. I have to do these things. I feel better this morning. I woke up and I was like, I don't have to go to work for a week. I walked. I got energy.
Break.
Yeah, right. Dude, I don't even, it's required at this point. It's much easier to do those things when you already have those habits in place. Okay. So just to I'm going to kind of wrap up, if that's all right with you, because I think we've definitely maybe hit up over time. This idea that personalization and the rise of personalization, because this really is a new idea that has come about within the past. It's been gaining in popularity over the past 100 years. It's really been gaining in popularity. Okay. Let's just cover all the damn bases. Like, fuck everybody. No. Again, Carlos, tons of them. I'm going to do so much apologizing. It's okay. Don't worry.
See, you can apologize enough for both of us, because I will not be apologizing. I said what I said. Even if I'm wrong, I said what I said. Thank you.
Right. And so personalization being really important. How do I start crafting my personalized mental wellness journey? Well, I start reflecting, because I need to know where I'm going in order to start. If I don't know where I'm going, if I'm like, I just want to travel the world. Oh, okay. Well, where do you want to go? I don't know. Well, if I don't know, where the fuck am I going to go? So you got to know where you're heading. So that reflection step is just mandatory.
That is, because, you could be going down the street or Thailand. Two different, you're traveling the world, but two different things.
Right. And so in order to help you get started, tie your new habit to some anchor, something that you already do daily, in order to increase your likelihood of it becoming habits. And not thinking that you have to tackle the world in a day, just starting with one. Micro habits, micro practices, whatever you want to call them, small, manageable tasks that can help you to go ahead and build into bigger and better things. We talked about morning versus evening routines. If the morning routine doesn't work for you, that's okay. Do it at fucking night. No one's going to be like, ugh, they have an evening routine. Peasant. maybe they are. Who the fuck cares? I'm doing the exact same thing that y'all do. I'm just doing it at a different time of day. Budget. Don't break the bank trying to do all of these things. You don't need the latest gadgets to be able to appreciate all of these things. For my recovery tools, I do the suction, the cupping thing that I have cost me $20. The foam roller that I have cost me $8. That's all I use. I don't use anything else. I don't use like fancy devices. If I have to use anything else, I try to makeshift out of them. If I need like a tinier foam roller, I go get a baseball bat that I had from when I played baseball in high school. Improvise. It's okay. There are other ways.
There's always alternative. Go to the Goodwill store, the Dollar store. You can find things in there that is not going to break the bank.
Yeah.
There are free things out there, apps, or if you're doing meditation, there are free meditation apps out there. You don't need to hire the latest guru or whatever it is, or like whoever is, popping in yoga lately. You can just start small.
I don't know about you, but I want Guru Chetta from Under. No, I'm just. Did you ever see that movie? It's from the Love Guru it was a Michael Myers movie.
Yes.
So I mean, it's so stupid, but you're like, I can't help but laugh because it is kind of funny. So, whatever. That's all great. Don't break the bank. Additionally, remember that your routines are going to have to change. Life changes. And so using those reflective practices to make sure that we're changing. That's all we have for today. Thanks for hanging out with us on Roaming Minds.
Carlos here with a friendly reminder, your mind's worth it.
If you enjoyed our conversation and want to learn more, hit the subscribe button wherever you're listening. Spotify, Apple, whatever works for you. Maybe even drop us a review if you're feeling extra kind. If you're the social media type, come find us on Instagram at roaming_minds_pod. We've got updates, behind the scenes bonuses, all that good stuff.
Catch us next week for another ADHD-filled adventure, chasing life, liberty, and whatever shiny idea grabs us next.